It was 6 a.m. in the morning. I woke up with my aching eyes, smudging them with both my hands that were forcefully opened by the voice that screamed in the corridors of the apartments that we moved just in a few weeks ago. It screamed, "Sir, chetta veyandi," which in Telugu means, "Sir, please get the garbage." Hearing that, I then headed to my kitchen's balcony, picked the trash bag that lay in the corner, and headed towards my main door. And once again heard the voice asking me to get the garbage as soon as I can. I then screamed back, "Please wait for a moment." I then opened my main door out of frustration as I was woken early and I just slept at 4 a.m. in the morning after completing my daily dose of movies. To my surprise, I just found a 10-year-old little girl holding a bucket in her hands with her jittery eyes that were shining with a little spark, and her hair was dry and brownish. She was looking sober in the greyish long gown that oversized her. And as I kept looking at her, surprised, she came towards me, took the trash bag from my hands and put it in the bucket that she had brought and headed down the stairs, struggling with the weight of the bucket. I then closed my main door and headed towards my room to complete my sleep. As I lay there on my bed, sleepless for about an hour, as I kept thinking about the little girl I had just met. And I could not sleep for most of the time. I just reminded myself that I just woke up at 4 a.m. and I had to sleep so that I don't turn into an insomniac. And I really wanted to meet the little girl that I met again. And a feeling of guilt hounded me. I was waiting till the next day dawn so that I can see her again. I, at 5:45 a.m., woke up, and at 5:50, I heard the same voice, and yes, the little girl came again. I then, out of excitement, rushed with my trash bag, opened my main door, and looked at her, and I asked, "What do you study?" She said, "I do not go to school." My eyes turned watery after hearing that reply. I knew that she was helping her family earn some income. I then asked her, "Would you like to study?" She replied, "Yes," in a fairy note. And at that moment, I decided that I would fund her school education. I then went ahead and spoke to her parents and got her enrolled in a nearby school. At that moment, I just did what I felt was right for the girl of her age. I felt very relaxed and proud for the next 2 days, a solace that I never felt at any point in my life. And it all took me was an encounter with a little girl to realize the harsh realities out there. And this is just a story about one little girl out of the millions and millions out there who are abandoned, forced to work, and who are deprived of their childhood and schooling just because they can earn some income for the family. Yes, my dear friends, there are many million kids out there on the streets who live by the dump site, wading through the rubbish, who just collect the scrap metal to the toxic waste and hauling the trash just to earn a living. And it's not because of their poverty. It is also mostly because of the child trafficking that happens. And most of these childs are forced to beg at the junctions, beg in the streets, and collect plastic waste. And the beggar mafia earns lots of money from them. And yes, as surveys suggest that around 100 million kids are in the world living on the streets. And it is only in India that around 400,000 of kids live in the streets. And this situation is more predominant in countries like India, Brazil, and most parts of Africa. And these numbers are a real problem. It is very difficult to get the accurate number and data of these kids living on the streets in more hugely populous countries like ours. Brazil is a populous country. India is a very much populated country. it becomes very difficult to collect accurate data and act on that. And I just wanted to tell you about an incident that I just read in the newspaper a few weeks ago, that a child rights activist was slapped and kicked out of the house for inquiring about the little girl that was working in a woman's house. And such kind of incidents are a real shame to the humanity. Why? Why are people so heartless? And sometimes it often amazes me that people often treat their cat or dog like a jewel, and they do not even give a thought about the kids living out on the streets. And instead, they treat them like beasts of burden and show Scottish compassion. And yes, my dear friends, there is a need for concerted efforts for the upliftment of these children living in the streets. And yes, and all I wish is sometimes people realize about the nightmares that these kids face every day. And we all must take some effort, though there are so many NGOs, departments and schemes out there for the upliftment of these kids. We all should put in some efforts, and that is where child sponsorship comes in. And we all must give children a chance of their education, chance to live their childhood to the fullest, and chance for the upliftment of their whole community. And I hope for the community so that they can grow stronger and better and be an example for the other children out there. And yes, as said by Rabindranath Tagore, that childhood is innocence, and this innocence cannot outsmart the perils that lie in the society, and the education is the only way. I'd like to put forth my strong point by saying that children belong in schools, not on rubbish dumps and streets. Over to you, Toastmaster.